This brief introduction to the Mississippi River system is presented by Sailing Toucan and narrated by Captain Farmer. Captain and Mate Farmer have extensive inland river experience in addition to offshore cruising, both recreational and commercial. We're now refurbishing a 29 by 10 Catalina for sailing on the Tennessee River and beyond. The entire Mississippi River watershed drains a very large part of the east central United States. For Coast Guard regulation purposes, these rivers are referred to as the Western Rivers. There's a large tow blind spot ahead of the lead barge, so stay well clear since he can't see you there. Lead barges and a tow have red, green, and a special flashing yellow light. The red and green lights may not be in line, making it difficult to visualize where the tow is when coming around a bend in the river. Yellow over yellow, I'm a pushing fellow ahead. Towboats don't have to show the white masthead light above the Huey P. Long Mississippi River Bridge. Downbound vessels have the right-of-way, and an upbound may have to hold until he passes. Upbound and downbound vessels have the right-of-way over crossing vessels, but don't depend on people knowing that. Lake Itasca is regarded as the main source for the Mississippi River in Clearwater County in northwestern Minnesota. The lake covers an area of about 2 square miles and has a maximum depth of 40 feet. Here are just some of the many major Mississippi River tributaries from Arkansas to Wisconsin. Here are more tributaries, and note that the Mississippi drains 31 states. This is the largest number for any U.S. river. Here's another look at the extensive Mississippi River basin, and the river extends all the way to the Gulf of Mexico below New Orleans. Here are just some of the major cities on the Mississippi River itself. Many more cities are reachable by boat on its tributaries, many of which are maintained to a 9-foot draft by the Corps of Engineers. This map indicates some of the major ports on the upper Mississippi River in yellow, with tributaries shown in other colors. Here are the major ports on the lower Miss, and some ports on the Mississippi, but not all, may have recreational craft facilities. In the New Orleans area, there are a number of commercial ports, but recreational facilities are scarce or non-existent for many miles above New Orleans. Here's a more comprehensive list of ports and terminals. The lines across the rivers represent locks and dams, and it typically takes about an hour to transit a lock unless commercial traffic has it tied up. They take priority over recreational traffic. Here's a typical lock on the Tennessee. This one has an 80-foot lift or drop. You may be able to lock through with a tow if and only if the captain and the lockmaster both agree that you can. These are the major tributaries of recreational interest on the Mississippi River system. There are a series of man-made lakes between Minneapolis and St. Louis. Locks maintain a draft of 9 feet on the upper river. The upper Mist joins the Ohio at Cairo, Illinois. River mile numbering from New Orleans starts over at Cairo. The upper Mist is navigable to above Minneapolis, but recreational craft fuel may be hard to find in some places. The Mississippi itself is used primarily for commercial traffic. The lower Mist has heavy barge traffic. Below Memphis, I once met 12 tows in one 2-hour passenger cruise. Some of the lower Mist tows may get up to 50 barges. Here's the Illinois Waterway from Chicago and Lake Michigan to just above St. Louis. Need to be aware there are 17-foot clearances on the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal that are the limiting air draft for loopers, plus there are 6 locks and dams on the Illinois River. The Ohio is a major Mississippi tributary and has a lot of commercial barge traffic to Pittsburgh and above. There are 4 locks and dams on the Cumberland, shown here in red. It flows through downtown Nashville, Tennessee. The Tennessee is navigable from Paducah to 5 miles above Knoxville with a 9-foot depth. There's not much barge traffic above Chattanooga. We are currently refurbishing our Catalina sailboat at Concord Yacht Club at mile 616 on the Tennessee. We're only 14 miles upriver from Fort Loudon Lock and Dam and the gateway to the Gulf of Mexico. We're on the center dock, just down from the clubhouse. We're only 32 miles from University of Tennessee's Neyland Stadium for home football games. Most cruisers leave the Mississippi at Cairo and come up the Tennessee to the Tenn-Tom Junction on their way to the Gulf of Mexico. River miles are numbered from the mouth of the river upward, but inland buoys are not numbered because they're moved from time to time as needed because of river level changes or shoaling. The Mississippi below Memphis goes up and down about 50 feet during a normal year. On the Mist, you may encounter large passenger vessels, but most of the traffic is barges being pushed by increasingly larger and larger towboats on the lower Mist. On this Great Loop cruising map, you can see that most loopers leave the Mississippi and use the Tenn-Tom Waterway through Mobile, Alabama, to avoid the heavy barge traffic and scarce fuel on the lower Mississippi. The easiest way to locate recreational vessel facilities is probably a cruising guide like Quimby's. This one covers the Mississippi, Illinois, Ohio, Cumberland, Tennessee, Tenn-Tom, and the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway. There are also web-based sources of information for some rivers. The Gulf Intracoastal Waterway, affectionately referred to as the Ditch, covers the area from Brownsville, Texas to Key West, but you have to go outside at St. Mark's and around Fort Myers. It joins the Intracoastal Waterway, which goes up the Atlantic coast at Key West. The Corps of Engineers official chart booklets are a very good source of river navigation charts and information. Here's a typical river chart booklet page. The pages are in river mile order, so you can easily flip pages as you go. Note that many, like this one, are not shown north up like traditional NOAA charts. When you use free OpenCPN software as your chart plotter, you can download current, free, official Corps and NOAA charts, and you can easily keep them up to date with the latest changes. The very comprehensive free OpenCPN chart plotter software runs on many different computer platforms. Here I have a VHF radio with a receive-only automatic identification system, AIS output, feeding a laptop computer running OpenCPN with a small TV as its monitor. A prudent navigator never depends on only one source of navigational information. Stuff happens. Electronics can and do fail. You may not have cell coverage in all areas. Google Earth shows land features very accurately, but no depth information, only watercolor. It helps to use tools especially designed for marine navigation. AIS and radar are used on larger boats. If you're relatively new to cruising, please consider taking courses by America's Boating Club. See our YouTube video on education. It lists all of America's Boating Club courses with brief descriptions of each. There are other sources as well, such as U.S. Sailing. Our slogan that appears on every video is "Educated boating is enjoyable boating." We really mean that sincerely. Get the training you need, then get out there and cruise. We'll see you on the water. We hope you enjoyed this very brief introduction to the Mississippi Western Rivers System. Please subscribe, like, and share our videos so that others can benefit from this free training.